Will Butler is an American musician who many people assume is Canadian because he's a member of the Montreal band Arcade Fire. On his first solo album, the multi-instrumentalist delves deep into American songwriting traditions and crafts these rousing pop and rock blasts that are incisive and more revealing with each listen. They are joyous and angry and inspire listeners to question both what they're hearing, both on this record and almost anywhere else. The new album is called Policy. It's out now via Merge Records, and Butler and his band have been hitting the road pretty hard, including stops at the Horseshoe Tavern on March 27th and 2 nights at Montreal's Bar Le Ritz PDB on March 28th and 29th. Here now to discuss some of these things is Will Butler. Hi, Will. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. That was the worst introduction I've ever done for anyone ever.
I'll fix it in post.
I will try. Now, where are you, Will?
I am in Biloxi, Mississippi.
What is going on in Biloxi today?
They have an ocean there that we are going to.
Nice. They have an ocean. Good for them. That's
some sort of Mexican Gulf.
Oh, okay. That sounds good. Hopefully that'll be fun. Now, when some artists step away from their band to make a solo album, it can kind of sound like a jailbreak. And I don't know that you've really taken on some new idiom on Policy, but I wonder, how liberating was it for you to make this record?
Very liberating. I mean, it's nice to have less opinions.
Is that the main thing? You didn't listen to anyone else?
Well, no. I mean, it's nice to have the responsibility also, where you're like, it's good, the lightness of it and the heaviness of it are both. It's like, oh yeah, I'm doing work, like lifting boxes, bend with the legs, not with the back.
Right. How long have these songs actually been percolating for you?
I mean, maybe half of them have been percolating in some form for 3 to 5 years, and the other half are a little fresher.
Okay. And was there ever a chance they might turn up on an Arcade Fire album in some way?
I mean, bits of the flavor might have ultimately, but not as songs, not songs as such.
Okay, is that even a possibility? Is that an outlet for you? Like, if you had a song idea, like if you had one of these song ideas and you brought it to the table for a record in that band, would it possibly make it, or is this just something you have to do on your own?
It would be a very different process if I brought it to the table like that. It's a little more amorphous, the Arcade Fire process. So it's, I mean, and these songs particularly are I chose to put them out on this album because they work best as something with just one point of view, I think.
Mm-hmm. Now, you mentioned that there are fewer opinions. Like, you've been working in a unit for so long now in Arcade Fire. I mean, I know Jeremy Guerra played drums on this album, but I'm curious, did you seek songwriting advice from your brother Win or anyone else in that band, or did you just feel like, I'm going to do this on my own, screw everybody?
I mean, I come from the writing workshop tradition where you do a draft and you show it to people, and you do another draft and you show it to people, and you do another draft. Maybe you don't show that one, but then you show them the next one. So I always like to have an idea and bounce it off people and then polish it some more. So I definitely did that with the band. I would play songs on the tour bus. I would play songs for people and get feedback, but in more like a writing class kind of way.
Did anybody outside of the band have significant input into the songs on Policy?
Yeah, I mean, I played him for Marcus Stravs, our longtime collaborator. I played him for Nick Launay, who mixed me on Bible and Some of the Suburbs. I played it for, I played it around for folks.
Okay, that's interesting to me. How long have you yourself been writing your own songs?
Kind of forever, essentially forever.
But this is the first. Is this the first thing? Like, this is your first real record, right?
Oh yeah.
But you've been writing songs forever?
I mean, I think all musicians are always writing everything forever. I didn't finish things. I don't finish anything. God help me.
So is this
like you? I think everyone always sits at an instrument and writes things all day, every day, I suspect.
Okay, but I mean, this is the only thing we've seen the light of day so far. Is there a whole batch of songs that are just waiting to come out?
I mean, there's a lot of. I mean, there were other completed songs I could have put together, but they didn't fit, and some of them are worse, some of them are good, and some of them are one-dimensional, and some of them are two-dimensional. Some of them are four-dimensional. So yeah, there's a lot of material, but not a lot of finished A-plus material.
Okay. Now, what view of your life or even your country does policy provide?
There's a lot of different characters on policy, and they're not all me, but they all share emotions that I've had in my life in different strains. Like a lot of the anger, a lot of the desperation, I certainly don't currently feel, but have felt and know that they exist. And sometimes you feel them between 2 and 4 in the morning. And then, yeah, I mean, I identify the music as American, and I identify myself as American largely as an issue of accuracy.
Okay, right. Okay. Well,
that's the world that it's coming from. Like that's the heritage. That's the it's hard for me to tell the world because I'm within that world. Like I'm not seeing it from the outside. Then you'd have to ask an Australian what features of my music are most American.
Where are you living these days?
Still in Montreal. I'm spending more time in New York with my family.
Mm-hmm.
But we're still vaguely Montreal based.
Okay. So when you say that you're American, so you're writing from an American perspective about America, even though you've been living in Montreal for some time.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, this term policy is a very dry, bureaucratic term on some level. It reminds me, well, specifically, Bry Webb. Do you know Bry Webb?
Yeah, I know Bry.
Bry has a song called Policy on his last album. So immediately, I find it interesting that and that was like, I think last year that thing came out. Policy seems to be something that has infiltrated at least 2 people I know in terms of their music. What does that term mean to you?
I mean, it's a little bit. There's a few different reasons. One is just that it's not a particularly political album. It's not a Clash album or a Public Enemy album or anything. But the art I was consuming was very political. I mean, I'm more apt to listen to a political podcast than a new album, essentially, these days.
Okay, so this idea of, so you're not critiquing any specific policy, just the idea that there might be policies, and
much that Funeral was not literally about funerals, but what came from a world where there had been people dying and there were funerals involved, and that was part of the world that the music came from.
Mm-hmm.
It's a similar idea with policy.
Okay, are you?
That's one aspect of the title, I would say.
And the rest you're kind of keeping close to the vest?
No, I mean, another one is that I think the record's very diverse, and I could have given it like a Leonard Cohen-y type title, like 8 songs, but then I would have just been like, oh, this is a random piece of weirdness, and I think I wanted to say that it is, because it is constructed. It isn't just like slapdash, let's put these, let's whatever, just put them in the blender, but there is a policy and there is a thought behind it, and there's an intention. It's constructed. It's man-made.
Right, okay. You mentioned political music, and one of the things that struck me about policy is that it reminded me a little bit of John Lennon's solo recordings. Maybe this goes back to that jailbreak analogy I made earlier. I hear his early 1970s spirit in the rawness of things like Sing to Me and the genre experimentation of Something's Coming. His work at the time was also pretty critical of the status quo, with a lot of interpersonal and I think global politics mixed in there. Does someone like Lennon's work, does that mean anything to you?
Yeah, very much so. I mean, even just literally on a sonic level, the Plastic Ono Band album is what I played for the engineers. I played them that in the Breeders. It's like, make the record sound something like this.
Oh, interesting. There's an actual direct connection.
Yeah.
Huh. So what is it about the sound and maybe the spirit of that record that speaks to you?
I mean, it's so simple and direct. Not a lot of instruments, a lot of dry recording, but really, really beautiful. And it's very. The music is very nostalgic. I mean, it's also like sounds like 50s music sometimes, sounds like 60s music sometimes, sounds like 70s music sometimes. Sometimes it sounds like it's from like 1990,
Mm-hmm.
which I equally wanted to not care about when my record sounded like. I wanted it to sound like 2015, but 2015 can sound like 1957 or 1981.
I think 2015 is too young to have its own vintage, don't you think?
Maybe.
Have you had the that experience of coming to a solo record by someone whose band you love and being either pleasantly or negatively surprised by what they came up with?
Who's the guy? The guy that was in Buffalo Springfield? Neil Young.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Neil Young.
You're right. Neil Young is a guy who's branched off, and you thought, how did you feel about what he did on his own?
It was great. It was great it was great that his main band got back together a couple years ago and toured again. But yeah, he's been doing great on his own.
So you think of yourself as, well, maybe I'm putting too much into this, but you don't see yourself as a Neil Young type, but you see him as exemplary of a guy who was in a strong band but then moved on to make a go of it on his own.
Yeah, except I mean I'm not currently moving on, nor do I necessarily see moving on from Arcade Fire.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It's quite aesthetically satisfying. I just think it's funny that he's like a solo guy that's kind of like, all right.
Has anything about the reception to Policy irked you?
No, I've been quite happy. I mean, the only thing that bugs me ever is factual errors, and there's been very few factual errors in response to the album.
What would
because I'm happy, like what I love that like a lot of people are like, oh, Anna is a piece of garbage, and then some people are like, and Anna is like the thing I want to dance to all day, and people are like, oh, and Sing to Me is such a boring album track on a short album. Who needs it? And you're like, I play Sing to Me every night, and I weep, and I'm like, oh, great.
Yeah, you're getting all of it, I guess. Yeah. Now you toured really hard behind Reflector with Arcade Fire. The tour ends, you take a small break, then you hit the road hard again. Why are you doing this right now?
Well, it's not that hard. I'm doing 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. Yeah, it's not that hard. And
okay.
It's almost been 6 months since the Reflector tour ended.
Has it been that long? I feel like time. I just had a second kid, so I don't know what the hell's going on.
September, October, November, December, January. Yeah, it's been like, I think we ended in August.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, so this was always it was always in the plans. You were going to roll out this record when the break happened, the hiatus happened.
It has been quite hectic. Don't get me wrong.
Okay. Does this experience feel like starting over for you?
It feels just shockingly natural. Like putting the band together for this tour has been so freaking easy, and the music has come so easy, and the shows are going great, and yeah, it feels very normal.
Okay, that's good. That's good to hear. So what's next for you?
So I'm doing half of March, half of April, half of May on tour, and then I'll take the summer off, and then I don't know about the fall. I mean, I want to check in with Arcade Fire people, because after tour, everyone kind of shuts down for a minute. They'll be like, "Hey guys, how's it going?" And maybe I wouldn't be shocked if we started work in the fall, but if not, I might play some more dates, or maybe I'll go into the studio or something.
Okay, so you're trying to. This isn't a case where you're trying to make the most of your time off. Like, I mean, and on some level, it is, right? You know that machine is going to rev up again, and you got to do this while you can. Yeah,
I mean, I want to make hay while the worm turns. No, I'm still young enough that I can handle doing 6 weeks of band tour a year while also having a day job in another band. So I kind of want to seize the moment before I have kids in school and stuff like that.
Right. Okay, cool. Well, once again, Will Butler's new album is called Policy. It's out now via Merge Records, and he and his band are on tour right now, which includes stops at the Horseshoe Tavern on March 27th and 2 nights at Montreal's Bar Le Ritz PDB on March 28th and 29th. I believe both of those cities' shows are all sold out, right?
I believe they are.
That is... Are you going to play bigger shows in those cities? Because I feel like the demand is high, Will.
Yeah, I think I will. I'll put, certainly Montreal and Toronto, New York, Philly, everything that's, everything within a 6-hour drive.
Right. Okay, cool. Is there a song from Policy that I can play for people right now?
You could play Witness, I guess. Why not play Witness?
Okay, why did that come to mind?
I don't know. People have been now that the record's out, because Take My Side and Anna have been out for a little while. Now that the record's out, people are like, "Oh, I like Witness," and it's been going good at the shows. So I feel like people are liking Witness.
Okay, that's fair. This is
gotta give the people what they like.
You're a crowd pleaser. This is Witness by Will Butler. Will, it was great to talk to you, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you.